N8N is the best tool to build AI agents and automate almost everything without coding. And now you can use a new N8N MCP server to automate the process of building automations and generate workflows like this one on autopilot, which is crazy. You just give it an idea for your automation, and it will build the workflow and even add it to your N8N account automatically. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you step by step how to set this up and how to use it in Claude Desktop app and Cursor. And I promise it's really easy to do. I'm also going to show you how to generate more complex workflows using this N8N MCP, and will generate the exact same workflow you are seeing right now. Now I'm going to explain in more detail how this N8N MCP works. When you use N8N, you are working with this visual builder where you drag and drop different nodes to create your automations. Think of it like building with Lego blocks. Each piece has a specific purpose, and you snap them together to create something functional. So these blocks are called nodes. Each node represents a specific task or function in your workflow, maybe sending an email, processing data, or updating your CRM. But here is what's happening under the hood. So every workflow you create is actually stored as a JSON file. So this file contains all the details, which nodes you are using, how they are connected, what parameters are set, everything. And the cool thing is, if you have that JSON file ready, you can just import it directly into N8N, and your entire workflow appears instantly in the Visual Builder. Now, ChatGPT or other LLMs don't have the specific knowledge needed to build something that actually works in N8N. But this MCP is different because it's trained on the documentation and has access to multiple tools and can work like an AI agent. If you are using Claude Desktop app, you can actually watch this happen. So the JSON gets built right there in your chat using the artifact feature, and you can see each part being added. So it's pretty cool to watch how your workflow come together like that. Even if you are using something else, the MCP does all this work for you behind the scenes. And once it knows what it needs, it puts together your workflow and sends it straight to your N8N account. This N8N MCP is powerful because it uses the official documentation and covers 90% from official N8N docs, including AI nodes. It also has dedicated AI tools, so detects AI nodes from the documentation. I'm also going to show you how to add the Context 7 MCP server, which can automatically fetch docs for all the other nodes, making this setup even more powerful. And here is what makes it so powerful. It follows a 3-step process. Let me break down how this actually works. So the MCP has 3 main sets of tools. First, you have core tools, so documentation tools. These search through all the available nodes, pull up the right technical specs, and gather everything needed for your specific workflow. So it looks up the right documentation, figures out which nodes you need, and understands how they should connect. Then you have the advanced tools, so the workflow creation tools. These take all that information and actually build the N8N workflow. So build the JSON structure with proper connections and configurations. So it builds the actual workflow, and it knows the correct parameters, the right connections, everything. Finally, there are management tools, so deployment tools. These push your completed workflow directly into your N8N account, where you can start using it immediately. So it deploys the finished workflow directly to your N8N workspace. Since this is built as an MCP, it's compatible with both Claude and Cursor. So you can choose the AI platform that works best for you, or the one you are already using. Now here is what makes this really consistent. The MCP follows a proper sequence when it works, so it won't try to build the workflow before it has all the documentation. And you can make this even better by setting up some basic configurations. So in Claude, you can add this to your project settings. In Cursor, you put them in your configuration file. This structured approach prevents the random results you often get from AI tools when they don't have clear direction. With this setup, you get complete workflows every time instead of broken or unfinished outputs. So this is why I think MCPs are going to change everything. We are not just talking about AI that generates code. We are talking about AI that actually understands how platforms like N8N works and builds workflows that function properly. So the AI tools that actually understand the platforms they're working with. This N8N MCP setup was created by czlonkowski. So massive shout out to him. He made it open source so everyone can use it. I will leave the link to that GitHub repo in the description so you can check it out. Now, once you are on that page, just scroll down a bit. And we are going to use option 1 from the description, which is the easiest way to get started. The main prerequisite is to have Node.js installed on your system. If you already have it installed, you are good to go. If not, just go to nodejs.org or click on this link, click on Get Node.js, and install Node.js on your operating system. It's very simple to install. Now, once you install Node.js, the next step is to run this simple command. So let's copy it. Let's open terminal. So I'm going to press Command space and search for terminal. I'm going to paste this command and hit enter. So that's going to download and run the MCP for the first time. Once that runs, you don't really have to worry about anything else in the terminal. Now the next step is setting it up inside the Claude Desktop app, but you can also use the Claude Code, Windsurf, and Cursor. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to integrate it with Claude Desktop app and Cursor. If you don't have the Claude Desktop app, go ahead and download it from the official website. Just Google Claude Desktop app and install on your operating system. Once it's installed, open the app and log in into your account, or create an account if you don't have one. Then we need to go into the settings. So in the top left corner, click on Claude, click on Settings. When you do that, a new window is going to pop up. Now we need to go to the developer mode. And you will see a button that says Edit Config. So just click on that. That's going to open up a configuration file on your computer, usually in a text editor like VS Code, Cursor, or whatever your default text editor is. If it opens in something like Notepad, that's totally fine. Any basic editor will work. Now just double click on the configuration file. Now, if you are setting up any MCP server with Claude Desktop app for the first time, your configuration file will be empty, so that's completely normal. Now, what we want to do here is copy the full configuration from the GitHub repo and paste it into this file. So let's go back to the GitHub repo. Again, you can find the link in the description and scroll down to the setup section. And you will see section Add to Claude Desktop Config and two options, but we are going to use the second one. So full configuration. And that's the one I recommend because it allows Claude not to only generate the workflow for you, but also deploy it into your N8N account. So go ahead and copy that configuration block. Then come back to your config file. Remove everything and paste it right here. Now we need to update just two things. N8N API URL and N8N API key. So let's start with API URL. So depending on what kind of N8N setup you are using, whether you are self-hosting it or using the Claude version, getting the API URL is slightly different. So I'm going to show you both. Let's start with the VPS version, since that's what I personally recommend, especially if you want full control, better privacy, automatic backups, and flexibility for building advanced automations in N8N and with tools like MCP. I'm using a VPS from Hostinger. It's actually the easiest and fastest way I've found to self-host N8N. They even have a one-click N8N install template, so you don't have to mess around with Docker or the command line. I will leave a link to this page in the description. A lot of my students are using Hostinger VPS too, because it's probably the safest way to self-host N8N, especially if you're working with MCP tools and want full control over your data. Once you open that link, you will land on a page where you can pick your VPS plan. So just click on that button or scroll down. And this already comes with self-hosted N8N pre-installed, so setup is super quick. Here I recommend choosing the KVM2 plan. That's the one I'm using myself, and it's a solid option for most projects. So just click Choose Plan, And then you can select your billing cycle. I would go with the 24-month plan because it's the cheapest option long-term, but you can go with any of these. So the 24-month plan ends up costing around $8-9, which is honestly a great deal for what you get. And because Hosting is a sponsor of my channel, I've got an extra 10% discount coupon for you on top of the main promo for all yearly VPS plans. So if you want to save a bit more, just use this limited time coupon, type Damien. And the coupon will be automatically applied. Once you've done that, just scroll down a bit, and the server location will be automatically selected for you, so you can leave it as it is. Then click on N8N, confirm, and hit continue. If this is your first time, you need to register, otherwise just log in. Next, you will land on the billing page, so go ahead and fill in your billing address, and then payment info. Then click continue and install. So once you are in your Hosting dashboard, click on manage. So here you can manage your VPS instance. Then click on manage app. And it will open up your running N8N instance in a new tab. If it's your first time, it will ask you to create an account. Otherwise, just log in. I already have one. Once you are in, it will take you to your N8N dashboard. It looks just like the cloud version, but this one is fully yours and self-hosted. So now, once you are inside your N8N dashboard, look at the URL at the top of your browser. And that's your N8N API URL. So make sure to copy the full address, including the HTTPS, all the way up to Claude. And leave everything after that. Then let's go back to our configuration file. And you just need to replace this URL. Just remove it and paste it here. As you can see, it's very, very simple. And that's it for the URL. Now for the API key, this part is also super simple. Go back to your N8N dashboard. And inside your N8N dashboard, go to the bottom left corner. Click on Settings. And find the API section, so N8N API. Then click on Create New API Key. Give it a name. For example, MCP test. Save. Copy the API key. Now go back to your Claude configuration file again. I need to replace this API. So remove this and paste it here. Once both values are added, your API URL and your API key, just save the configuration file. File, save. And now you need to fully close Claude, and then reopen it. That reloads the configuration file, so you can start generating and deploying workflows. Now, if everything was installed properly, when you open the Claude Desktop app, just click on this Tools panel next to the plus button. And here you see N8N MCP. So that's how you know everything's connected properly. So from there, you can actually toggle different tools on and off. And there is quite a few. Right now, it comes with 39 different tools. And some of them are really useful. For example, for searching notes, getting templates, validating workflows, cleaning things up, and more. So you can easily toggle them on and off, or disable all the tools. Before you use N8N MCP, always, and it's really important, make sure to double check that these MCPs are connected and all the tools are enabled. So if you are not self-hosting N8N yet, I highly recommend checking out Hosting VPS. It's the easiest way to run your own private N8N instance with full control and a lot more flexibility compared to the cloud version. For example, on N8N Cloud Starter plan, you are limited to just 5 active workflows, but with a self-hosted setup, you can run unlimited workflows. I also have a tutorial on my channel showing you how to update your N8N instance if you are self-hosting N8N on Hostinger's VPS. So it's actually very easy to manage and keep everything up to date. Now, if you are using the N8N Cloud version, you are paying a monthly subscription and don't want to self-host N8N, you can still use MCP the same way. Just copy your Cloud API URL, paste it into your configuration file, and generate an API key exactly the same way, and paste those into your Cloud configuration file. Now let's talk about the project feature inside Claude Desktop app, which is only available on the paid Pro plan. But I highly recommend using this feature, especially for more advanced workflows. So I will show you how to set this up properly. So on the left-hand panel inside Claude, click on Projects. Now we are going to create a new project. Let's call it MCP. And let's hit Create. Now, once the project is created, you will see an option that says Set Project Instructions. So click on that. And this is where we want to paste a special instruction block that gives Claude detailed context on how to use this MCP properly. So to get that, go back to the GitHub repo, scroll down, and you will see section Claude Project Setup. So we need to copy this entire block. So copy it. Now come back to your Claude project. And paste it right here. Click Save Instructions. And that's it. Now this project has its own knowledge base, and Claude will know how to use N8N MCP server correctly. When you read it, you will see that this is basically a full set of guidelines that tells Claude exactly how to behave when working with N8N and MCP. So you are an expert in N8N automation software using N8N MCP tools. Your role is to design, build, always start new conversation with tools, documentation, and so on. We have key insights, validation strategy. So it's going to validate every process before building workflows for us. For example, workflows. So it works through every phase of building a workflow, from discovering the right nodes to configuring them, even validating the logic, building the workflow, and finally deploying it directly into your N8N account. So it tells Claude exactly what tools to use, how to validate each part, and what the process looks like from start to finish. So it actually checks everything at each phase. So thanks to that, you are avoiding a lot of errors that would normally pop up later. Now let's jump back into your Claude Desktop app and double check that the N8N MCP tools are available. So again, in the tools panel, when you click on that, you should see N8N MCP, all the tools. If it's not showing, make sure your configuration file is saved, then fully close and reopen Claude. That usually fixes it. Next, I recommend switching on the extended thinking mode, and you can find that option right here. This gives Claude more space to think and handle more complex workflows. And the last thing, you can switch to Claude Opus 4. It's the most powerful model and works best for more advanced workflows. So now you can test it out. For example, just ask Claude to create an automation you have in mind, something you would normally build yourself in N8N. Or if you want some inspiration, head over to the official N8N templates library. So here you will find a lot of workflow automation templates. For now, it's over 3,000. That's really impressive. The community is very strong. Some of them are paid, but most of them are free. When you scroll down and pick some template, you can copy the description of a template and paste it into Claude. For example, this part and how it works, so all the nodes with configuration. Or you can copy the JSON of a template, pass it to Claude, and ask it to modify specific parts or expand it. So let's test it now. I'm going to copy this description, go back to my Claude project, paste it here, and tell Claude to build this workflow for me. So build this workflow. All right, let's leave it like that. And let's provide more details to how it works and set up steps. All right, and let's send it. I will help you build this comprehensive AI video generation and YouTube automation workflow. Let me start by understanding the available tools and best practices. So now the Claude is using tools, the documentation tool. So it's going through the documentation to understand what nodes to use. Now let me analyze your workflow requirements and search for the necessary nodes, blah, blah, blah. So it's searching for particular nodes. As you can see, it found the Google Sheets nodes, HTTP request node, OpenAI nodes, schedule trigger node, Google Drive nodes, and so on. So if you are using it for the first time, it will ask you for permission to use these tools. So you need to approve it and click on allow once or allow always. Perfect. Now I have all the key nodes identified. Let me get the essential configuration details for each node we'll need. Perfect. I have all the necessary node configurations. Let me present the workflow architecture and ask for your input before building it. All right. Let's see. Workflow flow. Key features. Questions for clarification. Should I assume columns are exactly? Okay. Let's confirm. Yes, please. Excellent. I will build the complete AI video generation. As you can see, now I have to approve to use validate node minimal tool. So I'm going to allow always. So now it validates the all the configuration before building it. So it's using validate node minimal tool to validate each node. And now it's going to prepare the JSON file for us using artifact feature. So you can see it live, and that's really cool. Now it's going to use validate workflow tool to validate the workflow structure it prepared for us. So it not only validates each node, it also validates the output. So let's wait a moment. Again, I'm going to give it permission to use this tool. So allow always. It finds out that it needs to fix several issues in the workflow. It's really impressive. It understands that the workflow had some looping issues. So it's going to redesign the workflow. As you can see, it refined workflow, fixed issues, and prepared for validation. So it's going to validate workflow again. If you are not using the extended thinking mode, it will build workflows for you much quicker, but the output will be potentially worse. All right, we got the final workflow. So perfect, the workflow is functionally complete. Complete setup instructions. All right, great. And now when I go to my N8N account, I can see that the workflow has been deployed. So let's check. Yeah, it's crazy what this can do. As you can see, this N8N MCP is capable of building complex workflows for you. You just need to set up your credentials, test it, and maybe tweak a few things. But I would say that 70 to 80% of the work is already done. Now, visually, it might look a bit different from the workflow we originally took inspiration from, but that's because it's handling more complex automation. So functionally, it does exactly the same thing or even better. Some of my students asked me to record a tutorial on how to integrate it with Cursor, because when generating more complex workflows, Claude's context window can sometimes get limited. Also, if you want to set up this MCP properly, you need to copy and paste this prompt into a Claude project, but you can only create projects on the Claude Paid Pro plan. which you don't need when using Cursor. Now, if you have never used a Cursor, it's a powerful code editor where you can write, edit, and run code, but with built-in AI support. So you can just describe what you want in plain English, and it helps you type code apps from scratch. So coding skills help, but they are not required. First thing first, please go to cursor.com and click on download, and download the Cursor on your operating system and install it. Now let's open Cursor. And now we need to create a new project. So click on Open Project, create a new folder. Cursor MCP demo, create, and let's open it. Now this is how the Cursor interface looks like. Now let's create new folder. So on the left sidebar, right click, new folder, and let's call it .cursor, and hit enter. Now let's add a new file. So right click on Cursor, file, and let's call it mcp.json, and hit enter. Now let's go back to the GitHub repo. Now we are going to copy and paste configuration, and I recommend using full configuration, which will allow Claude or Cursor not only generate workflows for you, but also deploy it to your N8N instance. So click on copy, go back to Cursor, and paste it right here. Now we need to change two things. We need to replace N8N API URL and N8N API key. So in order to get N8N API URL, go to your N8N account, log in into your N8N dashboard, and look at the URL at the top of your browser. So that's your N8N API URL. Make sure to copy the full address, including the HTTPS, all the way up to Claude, and leave everything after that. So let's copy it. Let's go back to Cursor. And now let's replace this API URL. So let's paste it here. Now let's find our API key. So let's go back to N8N account. Inside your N8N dashboard, go to the bottom left panel, click on these three dots, click on settings, go to N8N API, and create an API key. Give it a name. Save, and copy your API key. Go back to Cursor, and paste your API key here. Alright, great. Now let's save this file. So click on File, and hit Save. Alright, perfect. As you can see, new MCP server detected, N8N MCP, so it's working. Now if we go to Settings, so click on Cursor, Settings, Cursor Settings, and go to Tools Integrations, you will see that under MCP Tools, there is N8N MCP with 39 tools enabled. So just make sure this is switched on. Now when you click on it, you will see that this N8N MCP has access to 39 different tools. Now to set up this properly, we need to provide a prompt to instructions to let Cursor know how to use this N8N MCP server, so what tools to use and in which order. So let's go back to our GitHub repo. Let's scroll down, and you should see Claude project setup. So by using this prompt, we are providing guidelines on how to use this N8N MCP server. So let's copy it. Let's type add and type Cursor. Let's add new role. Let's call it N8N MCP. Hit enter. Let's switch over to apply always. So always apply. Here let's type Cursor rule. And let's paste the prompt we just copied. Alright, perfect. And thanks to that, Cursor will be referring to this prompt every time we are going to generate workflow within this project. Here you can click Enable. Now let's give it an access to Context 7 repo to make it more powerful. I'm going to leave the link to this GitHub repo in the description. So now let's scroll down. Let's find Cursor. So install in Cursor. And we are going to add this configuration to our MCP JSON file. So let's copy it. Let's go to any large language model, ChatGPT or Claude, and let's ask it to please combine JSON. Let's paste the JSON. Let's go to the N8N MCP repo. Let's copy the configuration again and paste it right after this one. And hit enter. Thanks to that, we are not going to mess with formatting. Let's copy it. Let's go back to Cursor and let's paste it here. Now let's copy our N8N API URL and paste it here. The same with API key. Alright, great. Now we can remove this one. Perfect. Now let's save the file. New MCP server detected. Context 7. Enable it. Perfect. Now when you go to Cursor settings, Cursor settings, Cursor settings, under tools integrations. Now under MCP tools, you should see Context 7 as well. So this means that it's working properly. So let's generate a simple workflow. Let's say create an N8N workflow that watches for new emails in Gmail, extracts the subject and sender, and sends a Slack message with that information. And here enter. Waiting for approval. So let's run this tool. Let's wait a moment. Let's accept. It's generating the workflow for us. The N8N workflow Gmail to Slack new email notification has been created using Context 7. Here is what it does. Alright, let's check our N8N instance. And as you can see, this simple automation has been deployed 2 minutes ago. Let's open it. Yeah, alright, that's great. I would like to invite you to join the AI Agents Accelerator, which is our exclusive community, where you will get access to the full N8N masterclass with over 35 hours of step-by-step video training that takes you from beginner to pro. You'll also get access to over 100 plug-and-play AI agents and automation templates you can download and import directly into N8N. And we are adding new ones every week. We also teach how to build AI voice agents and provide technical support to help you with everything you need. It's a great community of AI agency owners, no-code builders, and like-minded people from all around the world. You are more than welcome to join. Just use the link in the description. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Now, if you are using N8N Cloud or self-hosted N8N on VPS, this setup works perfectly fine. But if you are self-hosting N8N on your own machine, there are a few things to keep in mind. If you want to run N8N locally on your own machine, you have a couple of options. You don't actually need Docker to run N8N locally. You can simply use the npx command to start it. Just run npx N8N in your terminal and it will start N8N at your local host. However, Docker is generally the most stable option for local hosting since it provides better isolation and consistency. But for getting started quickly, the npx method works perfectly fine. Now the local host might not work as a URL with Claude Desktop app or Cursor. These are applications that sometimes can't access localhost the same way your terminal can. The solution is simple. Instead of using localhost as a URL in the configuration file, use your local network IP address. So you can find this by running command. This command on Mac or this one on Windows. Then use that IP in the configuration file, like this example, instead of localhost. The API key setup is the same regardless of whether you are using Claude or self-hosted N8N. Just go to N8N settings, look for the API section and create a new key. Then copy that key and paste it into your configuration file. And that's it. This is how you can use this amazing N8N MCP in apps like Claude Desktop app or Curso to build powerful N8N workflows that actually work and save a lot of time. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching and see you next time.